A well-decorated old Gibson case here. Woo! Atlanta 96. It's old enough to qualify for AARP. That tells you something. Martin, Bluegrass. It's all about Georgia. Ooh. Oh, you can hear the thing ring in the case. 1955 Martin D-28. Just beautiful. Great shape. Quite the strummer. Alright, we gotta get to getting here. Can you guys hear those overtones? This thing is crazy. Welcome to the room. This is a 1955 Martin D-28. Christian Frederick Martin started the Martin Guitar Company in the early 1830s over in Germany, moved over to New York, to the United States in 1836, and then 1838, 1839 moved operations over into Pennsylvania, where they still operate today. What I didn't realize, and I don't think a lot of people realize, is how many guitar innovations Martin was on the forefront of. So Martin actually invented the X bracing, and at the time these were catgut guitars, right? The strings weren't steel strings. So it seemed like a very heavy bracing style, and maybe, thought of to come from more heavy woodworking and construction in the cabinet building industry, which is where Christian Martin was coming from, background-wise. And so it seemed a bit extreme, but truth be told, it led the way, or sort of enabled the ability for the next innovation, really, which was the steel string guitar. Another Martin innovation, and certainly Martin was the leader, forefront proponent of the steel string flat top guitar, as we know it today. Other things, the dovetail joint, trademark dovetail joint that joins the neck to the body, a Martin innovation. At the time, guitars joined the body, the neck of the guitar joined the body at the 12th fret. Classic, you and I know that as a classic guitar, right? A finger-style guitar. That was basically every guitar at the time. And so Martin, with the superior bracing technique, or stronger, beefier bracing, steel string, and trying to be louder and bolder in an orchestra mix, moved the neck up, elongated the neck, and created instruments designed to be played with a pick. So this idea of a 14th fret intersection at the body, another Martin innovation. And then with volume, or at least to get some volume, Martin started to build bigger body styles. And if you've ever wondered where the dreadnaught name comes from, Martin created a larger body style to have more bass, to have more clarity, to have more sound and volume in the mix. At the same time, in the early 1900s, about 1906, the Royal Navy launches their biggest ship ever. And it's so big that it has naught to dread, and was named the HMS Dreadnought. Martin borrowed that name for his bigger, louder, bolder guitar design, the Dreadnought guitar. That's where we get that from. And then a few years later, after the name, after some tweaking, it went to the elongated neck, the steel string guitar. And it is the Dreadnought style guitar that remains in circulation and practice and popularity today. So that brings us to this really incredible guitar. I want you guys to take a look at this. A 1955 Martin D-28. Featherweight acoustic guitar. Great shape. Bridge looks immaculate. Action is just so playable. Doesn't have evidence of work on it really at all. And it plays really well. In fact, it's a strummer, and you can tell it's a strummer. Let me flip this around. Hope you could see that. It's got some very original wear on the back of the neck. You could tell that it's been played. You could tell that it's had a life and it's had a story. It's going to be really hard for you to see, but the pick guard, it's really cool. These cellulose, nitrocellulose pick guards, or whatever the plastic material, is so thin, and in fact it's thinned out over time It's got a little bit of a ridge along the outside, but it's so thin in the center that you can feel the wood grain in the plastic. It sort of has molded itself into the wood grain of the guitar in a way. And it's so transparent that you can see some of these designs around the sound hole peeking through the pickguard itself. Overtones on this thing are just insane. It's definitely lively, and you definitely feel the pick of the string, the attack of the string on your body as you know, it just resonates right through the body of the guitar. Really, really cool. Also, bonus, it smells like Christmas at Grandma's. And I say that in the best way possible. And honestly, it smells like your best childhood memory. To me, it smells like my grandparents' house for Christmas in the early 80s, which frankly they built in the 50s. That makes sense. And it just smells like vacation as a kid. It smells like my aunt's house growing up. Just a really cool thing. I mean, things are old and you know they're old. And this thing has had a life. It's still got a lot to give. Let's hear what it sounds like.